It's the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, great to have you with us. And we got some stuff to cover here today. We're going to talk a little bit about the big trade that St. Louis City SC pulled off. The Rams, referred to here in my show plan as a scumbag organization. I don't think anybody will refute that. And we're going to start with the fact that Cardinal spring training starts 2 weeks from today. It is January 27th. 2 weeks from today, Cardinals pitchers and catchers will report, and they will start working out, and they'll get ready for the 2026 championship season, as they call it. And the Cardinals announced today that they've got some players coming to camp as non-roster invitees, and there's some real highlights there. J.J. Weatherholt is going to be in camp with the Cardinals. Eshawn Henderson, who was great last year at Springfield and has a chance this year to be on the major league roster, maybe not at the beginning of the year, but at some point during the season. Eshawn has a chance to be here. Also, the best name ever for a reliever that you aren't counting on, Scott Blewett, will be in camp with the Cardinals. If he makes it and then he blows a save, you know what we say, he blew it. There you go.
Obviously, for me, the thing that jumps out is there's a ton of names on this list that jump out to me. Honestly, the only group I don't think we need to look at is catchers, because there's just so damn many of them.
What about Andy Yerzy?
Listen, love the name, a little bit of a change of pace, but I mean, when you look at the pitchers, obviously you have the fun names like Scott Blewett, but you have names like Eshawn Henderson on there, Quinn Matthews, Packy Naughton, Max Rajic, Sem Robersay, Zach Thompson's coming back. Love that for him. And then the infielders, you got Blaze Jordan, obviously J.J. Weatherholt, even maybe if Chase Davis could surprise some people. I know there's some chatters, old and young, who are going to love Matt Koperniak.
Oh, yeah.
Getting one more shot at it all. So a lot of interesting names there the Cardinals are throwing out. But one of the big ones that people are jumping on right out of the gate was the Liam Doyle lack of being on the list. And that did surprise some people.
And that's understandable because the Cardinals plan on him being a member of the team, but he's never pitched. Well, he's pitched in pro ball, but he's never had spring training in pro ball before. So he's starting to get the lay of the land in Jupiter. And I would guess that at some point we will see him during spring training. He might get a shot in a game at some point. But one of the things that you don't want to do when you have you don't want to have too many players in a clubhouse. Oh, by the way, they're redoing the clubhouse down there. It's still under construction and probably will go up to the last day. If you've ever had a house or a business built, you know how construction people go until the last minute. And so just in terms of logistics, in terms of the number of people you have in a clubhouse, they've got a minor league clubhouse there and a major league clubhouse. And I would think that there's a spot for Liam Doyle in the near future in St. Louis, but they just made that decision now because they've got so many pitchers to evaluate, have on bullpen mounds, and things like that. Henderson is very interesting. I was told, Matthew, that even though Bryson Motts was the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year, that Henderson is a guy with better upside. There are people in the Cardinal organization that believe that's the case. And Quinn Matthews was a Cardinal minor league pitcher of the year. Max Rajic was a Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year. Zach Thompson was a first-round draft choice. You mentioned Robersay, who was one of the big guys when the Cardinals did the sell-off a couple of years ago. So there are some names. I don't know if they're pitchers at the moment, but there are some names that have been intriguing in the past, and they'll get an opportunity. Zach Thompson, especially if the Cardinals move a guy like Romero, Zach Thompson will have a chance to be in the bullpen. And we both know that a few years ago, the Cardinals told Zach Thompson, hey, you're our guy. You're our number one guy out of the bullpen, our number one lefty out of the bullpen, and you're going to be here all year long. And then 2 weeks into the season, he wasn't here anymore, and that kind of messed his head up a little bit. I hope that the Cardinals under Chaim Bloom and his staff have mended fences with Zach Thompson because he was not very happy with the organization 2 years ago, the John Mozeliak-led Cardinals, and hopefully he will be, and because he's a talented guy, and give the Cardinals at least an option as a lefty reliever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bodies out there. I love the Zach Thompson run out there. Sem Robersay, I still think, has something. Max Rajic has shown a lot of interesting profiles as well. Of course, Quinn Matthews, we've always talked about him. I know you're a big fan of the all-lefty starting rotation that the Cardinals are slowly building up to.
I think McGreevy's going to ruin that for me, though.
Probably, yes. And then, of course, the best name in Cardinals baseball right now, Packy Naughton.
Oh, is Packy not a better name than Blaze Jordan?
That's fair. Blaze Jordan is just the most incredible name in the world.
Yeah.
Blaze Jordan. I'm not trying to insult the guy, but Blaze Jordan. Blaze Jordan sounds like he hits into you when you're in the fairway.
Oh yeah, that's a great call. Yeah,
It's not his fault, but like Blaze Jordan
right.
sounds like a guy who hits into the fairway, like speed up, pace of play.
Yeah, I don't think he'll yell. I think he's the guy that comes up behind you with his ball like 10 yards behind you and says, "Sorry, bud." Don't you think that's kind of
And listen, Randy, I'm not Randy, excuse me.
Packy?
No, Bernie. I was running my way through Radio Legends. Bernie did something today talking about the Cardinals' lack of power. And obviously, the interesting thing with Blaze Jordan is that obviously that's what he was drafted for. He has not really shown any power. So it's interesting to see if he has a big spring. It's not like a big spring is going to bring him up to the majors, but a big spring would give the Cardinals a potential corner infielder with power that doesn't really exist in the organization.
Yeah. And unless it's Jordan Walker, that corner outfielder. Well, I guess you do have one opportunity.
Bias.
Yeah, bias. But you really don't have a ton of power at the corners in the organization as a group either. So those are your non-roster guys. And I think that right now, 2 weeks before spring training, we can pretty much nail down what the 26 man on opening day is going to look like. We'll have 24 or 25 of the 26. Starting rotation is set.
Okay.
Right? Because it's going to be Liberatore, May, McGreevy, Dick Fitz, and who am I leaving out? Because Palante is going to be in the bullpen.
May. Liberatore, McGreevy, May, Fitz.
And Leahy. Kyle Leahy. Let's give him an opportunity.
Okay.
And then Palante in the bullpen. Your closer is either going to be Riley O'Brien or Swanson. So those two are definitely going to be in the bullpen. If Romero is here, he is going to be in the bullpen.
Honestly, really surprised they haven't traded him yet.
And apparently the Diamondbacks are interested in him.
Okay.
So that could be so what you need to have in this day and age in Major League Baseball is multi-inning relievers.
Okay, so we got 4 more spots in the bullpen.
And Ryan Stanek is going to be one of those guys.
Yes, of course. I almost forgot about him.
Yep. You're going to have
3 more spots. Then.
Yeah, Granillo or Graceffo or maybe both.
Oh, let's go with Graceffo. I like that more. Granillo is a little bit. Graceffo was up here last year. He's got a little.
Granillo came up though and
he
pitched
was.
well.
Graceffo's got a longer arm though.
Yep. And you might be looking at another lefty, and that's why I look at a guy like Zach Thompson as having an opportunity.
Do you think there's a chance that Ishan Henderson could come out of spring as that lefty?
Not in the bullpen. No,
not in the bullpen.
They want him to be a starter.
Okay.
I would think, and I know you guys might hate this.
Packy.
Well, no. Chris Roycroft has a chance.
Oh, okay. So we'll call it Roycroft right now.
Yeah, but
so that's 13, right?
Yeah, the locks
6, 8, 10, 12
in the bullpen. So let's go.
We get one more.
Granillo Graceffo as an exacta, or do you want to have both? So Swanson,
yes.
O'Brien,
yes.
JoJo,
yes.
You got to have another lefty.
Palante, Stanek, Graceffo
/ Granillo,
/ Roycroft, and
so then you put another lefty down there, and you've got like a couple of opportunities.
We'll call Thompson.
Zach Thompson
Call Thompson.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to put up on the screen right now
Yep. And
13.
Don't forget Justin Brule, who they got on waivers.
The 13-man pitching staff that we've put together.
Okay, and then the infield's going to be pretty easy. If let's presume that Donovan is going to be here, okay? And I've got Donovan in left field if he's here on opening day because I don't have Newtbar healthy. So my opening day infielders are going to be Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn. I'm going to have Weatherholt, and I'm going to have Burley. And then
wait, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
And then Sajasi.
So catcher is going to be Herrera. And then what was your infield again?
Gorman, Wynn, Weatherholt, Burley.
Gorman, Wynn, Weatherholt, Burley.
Yep. And Sajasi here as a backup infielder.
What are you doing? Second base, third base. Which way are you playing that?
I've got Gorman at third.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just want to double check.
So I've got my 5 infielders. I'm going with 3 catchers.
Okay.
I'm going with Pajes, Pozo, and Crooks. So that's 8 of my 13. And then obviously you're going to have Donovan, Scott, J-Dub. I am going to assume at the beginning of the season that Lars Nootbaar is not available. And I need a DH too.
This is what I was going to say. I feel like the opening day lineup, then you have to change the infield to Sajasi at third base and Gorman at DH. Who's DHing then?
Herrera.
So okay. So Herrera is going to be. So we're just going to slide him over here for.
Yeah.
We'll put him in parentheses so we don't count him twice.
Yeah. And then Fermin has a chance to be on the team.
And then we'll call it bench.
And you, by the way, depending on who's pitching for the other opposition on opening day, you might go maybe Crooks. There's a lot of different.
That's only 11 hitters.
So I've got 5 infielders. I've got 3 catchers. That's 8. I've got my 3 starting outfielders, 9, 10, 11. And then probably Fermin,
Sajasi,
and then Church probably.
And
Church or Nootbaar.
So that right there is our 13-man pitching staff.
Oh, okay.
Rotation, bullpen, and I put the closers together as well.
Okay, good. And we've got the Gracefo Granillo. Is that?
I put it as a slash. Yeah,
okay,
that's
good.
a slash. So and then this one up here. So DH Herrera's in the brackets there, so we're not counting him. 3 catchers: Burleson, Weatherholt, Wynn, Gorman, Donovan, Victor Scott III, Walker, and then 3 men on the bench. 13 there for Means to JC Church.
So what do you think? What do you think of our roster there? And right now, the only non-roster guy we have making the team is JJ Weatherholt, and that could be something that changes if. I don't know.
I forgot about Hunter Dobbins. I knew he won't be okay. So he won't be available for opening day. You're right. Okay. So this is just the opening day.
Yeah.
26. Hence why Dobbins isn't there. Hence why Nootbaar isn't there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Samuel House has more openers. We need more openers.
Well, you've got Stanek, and Stanek can open 6 or 7 times a month for you. Just one more. And somebody, Skyboy brought up Ryan Fernandez.
Yeah.
I think even though he's on the roster, I think he's one of the first guys to go. Like if you're going to have one of these non-roster players make the team, I think Ryan Fernandez is going to be one of the first guys to go off of the current 40-man. I don't. Not only were we not impressed by him last year, but I think there were people within the organization that were not impressed either.
You really don't think Pajes is going to be on this opening day roster?
Oh yeah, I got him on. I got 3 catchers.
I thought you said Crooks, Herrera, and Pozo.
No, Pajes.
Oh, I thought you said Pozo.
Crooks, Herrera.
That's my bad. I wrote Pajes. He did not mean Pajes. He did not mean Pozo. He meant Pajes.
Yeah, I don't think Pozo is on your opening.
Yeah, my bad. I think I misheard you there. That's my apologies. Sorry to the chat for confusing you all about Randy's lineup there. By the way, this is. I know not to beat that horse, but this is people are not happy with us talking about them signing a veteran outfielder yesterday. But I look at this little thing right here at the bottom of the screen right now, Randy, and yeah, I mean you're telling me that either you have 3 bench players right now. Mm-hmm. Best case scenario, 2 of them are solid MLB role players for you in Sajasi and Church. I'm giving Church the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't hit 27 yet. But Fermin's 27, 28 years old and isn't beloved by the entirety of the organization.
Right.
So if Sajasi can play a bunch of the infield spots and Church can cover center field, then again,
Pajes could play second.
And there you go. And again, this brings me to, and then go off Bernie's video today, brings me to, be nice to have a 30-year-old right-handed hitter with some power.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad idea at all. And by the way,
doesn't take anybody to
if you don't like Jose Fermin, and he's a right-handed bat, but Prieto, who's a left-handed bat, is also in the organization. But I do think that there is a spot. And I'm not talking, and I know yesterday we said our conversation started with the Giants signing Bader to a 2-year, $20 million contract. The Cardinals certainly were not going to go there. And oh, by the way, the Giants have him penciled in as their everyday center fielder. Cardinals weren't going there either. What the Cardinals want is a professional on the bench that is accepting of his role. Now, they want that guy to be productive, but think not in terms of their production, but in terms of what they bring to the team and what they bring to young players. Think Matt Carpenter. Think Brandon Crawford. Think Eric Davis in 2000. Think Sean Dunston, who's maybe the perfect example of what we're talking about. Guy that can play a ton of positions, right-handed hitter. I think Sean Dunston just turned like 55 or something, so he's probably not the answer. But think of a guy that can play a bunch of positions that will say to people, including young players, hey, we're getting paid a lot of money here, and we should try as hard as we can, and here's what I've done. And by the way, Sean Dunston was a first overall pick in the draft, but when he came here, he could not have been a better guy in a clubhouse. And I think that's what the Cardinals need to lean on. Now, I don't know how many of those guys are around Major League Baseball anymore, but if they can find that guy, all the better. And if they can't find that guy, then you go with a guy like Nathan Church, and you hope that those young players that we're talking about can get some wisdom from the likes of John Jay, who did exactly what the Cardinals are looking for, from Daniel Descalso, who did exactly what the Cardinals are looking for, except for the fact that they were left-handed hitters. But if the Cardinals could find a right-handed version of Daniel Descalso or John Jay, that'd be ideal. A veteran guy that will come in and has been a winner before and doesn't have to take over the clubhouse, but is just a guy that is Crash Davis, the Cardinals version of Crash Davis in Bull Durham. It's just a leader and teaches young players how to be major leaguers.
Yeah, Dylan Moore says it is a bad idea. Think Nolan Arenado. Well, the big difference is between that is just like, okay,
Nolan Arenado was making $35 million a year.
There's that, and there's also like JJ Weatherholt, Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan. Yeah. Those are the three guys you have currently rostered. Before we even talk about the JJ Weatherholt factor, I mean, you got to open up space for him. So there were three guys who needed playing time, and Nolan Arenado stopped you being able to fluctuate guys over to third base to open up the playing time. On the other side, let's count all the players that might lose at bats if they sign a right-handed hitting outfielder. Nobody's losing at bats.
Right, exactly. Nolan Arenado, and loved the trade when they made him. But I don't know that you could find a guy more diametrically opposed to what the Cardinals are looking for than Nolan Arenado. Not a guy that really went out of his way to lead vocally, led by example, hard worker. Not a guy that has won in the past. I don't know if he's even played in a winning playoff game. I'm not positive about that. Not a guy that has a ton of versatility. He can play third base. I don't think he's ever played another position at all at the major league level. I don't think you can find a worse example, and makes a ton of money. I don't think you can find a worse example of what the Cardinals are looking for, with all due respect, than Nolan Arenado. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, again, and you can check the free agents out there. I don't even know if that guy exists for the Cardinals right now.
And also, and there was people who were like, well, they're paying Harrison Bader $20 million. Mm-hmm. And listen, the idea that they missed out on Harrison Bader, first of all, I mean, again, there were fans asking Chaim Bloom about it just a few weekends ago at winter warmup. Obviously, there were some people who wanted, obviously, for $20 million for the playing time. Of course, they weren't going to offer him that. That's why it's not surprising. Yeah. But then when we got into the conversation about Austin Hayes and Miguel Andujar, no one thought, everyone had all of a sudden just abdicated the need for a veteran right field or right-handed hitter, despite the fact that Chaim Bloom's mentioning it. And for some reason, hey, listen, I said it yesterday. I love that the fan base has gone full. It does not matter how many games you win. It only matters playing the young guys. But as long as it's not taking away at bats from anybody else, mm-hmm. as Martin Kilcoyne loves to say, I don't really care about the DeWitt's inheritance mm-hmm. to the next generation. So I'll spend $8 million of their money as often as I feel like it. I'm not saying they're going to, but wouldn't shock me at all if they signed Miguel Andujar for $1 million for 1 year for $8 million with a second year option for $12 million, because they have signed multiple. They've signed multiple veterans. They just happen to be pitchers to those exact same contracts, and I don't see anyone bitching that they're taking away Quinn Matthews' innings this season. Like, that'd be the exact same thing. Like, why is everyone not super pissed off that Dustin May is here instead of Quinn Matthews? Because that's the exact same reason to be annoyed by Austin Hayes potentially blocking Joshua Baez. It would be the exact same rationale, but for some reason it doesn't matter with the pitching, because I guess we all acknowledge that just sending out people who aren't ready to be major leaguers as pitchers usually can ruin their career. And yet, despite that fact, I feel like there's a couple examples you've been watching in Cardinals uniforms that prove you also shouldn't just be putting out hitters to get beaten up in Major League Baseball and expect them to always use that to improve, and sometimes it beats them down. So I'm not sure why we're getting this reaction to a potential veteran outfielder when the Cardinals have gone out there and taken away potential innings from young pitchers. Eshawn Henderson can't start at the Major League level this year, despite being the best AAA pitcher last year, because they signed Dustin May. How dare the Cardinals take away Eshawn Henderson's chance? Why are the fans not mad?
I don't think he's ready. I would say that
it's kind of the point.
Yeah. I don't think that the Cardinals have any desire at the moment to rush players like they have been known to do over the last 3 or 4 years. I think they want to get away from that. And like we say, have a veteran player that can provide some guidance and provide some production and maybe even some value. A guy like Dustin May, that's another part of it, is if he's here pitching well at the major league level at the trade deadline, right? And the Cardinals can find one of their young pitchers time at the major league level, a guy like Liam Doyle, a guy like Quinn Matthews, whomever it might be, then you just trade May. Are you frustrated?
No, I agree that you trade May, but like, what if they signed Austin Hayes and Lars Nootbaar never plays? Let's knock on wood, it doesn't happen that way. But let's say if the injury means the heel thing doesn't heal, and Austin Hayes is starting a majority of games throughout May and June. And what if he's hitting 290? Is Austin Hayes not going to get a prospect at the deal if he's playing a lot? If you give him, he's on a 1 year deal for $7 million and he's got a second year option for $15 million, just kind of like the Dustin May deal, which is a deal for 1 year deal that's got a slightly higher second year contract that makes sense for a team to trade him. You could build that with an Austin Hayes, and if somebody gets hurt or if somebody bottoms out like a Jordan Walker, all of a sudden Hayes has a really big runway through June and July where he's your starting right fielder every game. He hits 7 or 8 home runs in a month span. He's batting 290. There's a chance a team comes out and gets him for a couple prospects. Yeah, it's not a pitcher, so it's probably not as much of a prospect haul, but it'd be a smaller contract than what they're giving May. It'd be a smaller potential prospect if they do trade him. But this is why we're talking about the deal, because if Walker doesn't work out, if Nootbaar doesn't come back healthy, if Victor Scott doesn't work out, if any of these things happen, if they end up trading Brendan Donovan and now they literally have no other outfield depth other than Church, and let's say if he comes up through May and he struggles, you need a veteran a bat in the lineup. It'd be nice to have a veteran in the clubhouse, and heck, maybe you could swing him.
Okay, I got a guy here for us. Now, I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank, but we really aren't talking about gas left in the tank.
No, we're not.
Right?
Not really. If he's got some gas, that's nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could resurrect him, but he hasn't been perfect over the last couple of years, but he's a guy that has played. Let me just give you what I'm looking for, okay? He has played at the major league level, third base, center field, second base, right field. He's also played a little bit of first. He's played center. He's been a DH. He's played shortstop, plays every position. And he's been on multiple winning teams. Now, last year, did he play great? No, but he's a guy that has been a really nice bench player in the past. His name is Chris Taylor. You remember him.
I like Chris Taylor.
He beat the Cardinals in the 2021 playoffs and hit the home run off of Alex Reyes. Here's a guy that's still out there, wants to play. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about bringing in an everyday player. I'm talking about bringing in a guy who is capable of playing a lot of positions and capable of being a good leader. And by the way, by all accounts, Chris Taylor is a terrific teammate. So that's
just again, look at the 3-man bench and just and tell me that they can't potentially improve on that without hurting the other prospects.
Yeah. So that's the kind of guy I'm talking about. I'm not talking about getting a $10 million player. I'm talking about getting a guy that can do a lot of things off the bench, but most importantly, I believe, is a guy that is a good teammate, and especially when you're at crunch time, a guy that's been through those wars before, and everybody can look to him and say, well, what's going on here? What do we need to do? Taylor's seen everything. And so, Heim, go get him.
So the easy answer, by the way, to the question of when you look at the non-roster invites, obviously, if everything plays out, J.J. Weatherholt is the most impactful player to the 2026 Cardinals on this list. But beyond that, is there anybody else you think could make an impact in 2026? And I guess the question would be which pitchers?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be Chase Davis or Matt Koperniak. It's not going to be Blaze Jordan.
Right.
So which pitchers do you think we see in 2026 that make an impact?
Well,
do we see Sean Henderson? Do we see Quinn Matthews that starts?
Blewett has been a major league relief pitcher in the past. So there's a guy that I could absolutely see making the team because of his experience. Pete Hansen, although he numerically and counting numbers had the best year last year for Springfield, he wasn't considered in the same class as either Henderson or Bryson Motts, but still good. But he probably projects more as a relief pitcher at the major league level, kind of a long relief guy. I don't see Quinn Matthews here on opening day.
No.
Packy, they love Packy. At least the last administration loved Packy. If he shows something during spring training, perhaps. And then we've heard about Robert Say Forever. Then Zach, we mentioned Zach Thompson.
If you see Quinn Matthews get a start before August, and if you see Eshawn Henderson get a start before in September, is that enough for you for the young guys?
I like that. Yeah, I would love to see.
And then post trade deadline for Matthews, and a September call up for Henderson.
One of the things about this team, though, is you want both Matthew Liberatore and Michael McGreevy to continue to ascend. Now, as opposed to last year when you had Michaelis and you had Petty and you had there was another veteran starter here, but anyway, but you want to see the young guys. So you're evaluating Richard Fitz this year. You're evaluating when he gets healthy Dobbins. You're evaluating Leahy, as opposed to last year when you had the veteran guys. If these guys are getting better as the season goes along, Palante was the other guy last year. As these guys are getting better as the season goes along, I have no problem in giving them a little bit of runway and finding what they can do, because finding out what they can do. The biggest change for a young pitcher is, and now we accept 150 innings from a major league pitcher, but pitching that 6th month. So you go from let's just use Andre Palante as an example. You go from college where you're only playing on weekends, all right? And then you go to the minors where sometimes you have a 6-man staff. Sometimes in minor league baseball, they're going to shut you down for a little while to protect you and give you fewer innings. Then finally you get to the majors, like Palante, start as a relief pitcher. And then the MO is generally to give a pitcher 10 to 20% more innings per year. So you're trying to build yourself up. Well, Fitz, Dobbins, Palante, Leahy, they aren't even close. So what you want to do is let those guys experience what the major leagues are like, the strain on the body, how to prepare the body for the rigors of a 6-month season where you're pitching every 5th day. And right now, aside from Dustin May, and let's give Liberatore his due, the Cardinals don't have any other guys that have done that. So I don't mind looking at the young pitchers. And if they're pitching well, I'm not going to plug in Matthews just to plug in Matthews.
No.
I want him to earn it. And
he will.
Then if he does, and you move May, and then plug Matthews into that rotation, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
All right. So the Cardinals are going to get things going here, as we mentioned, in 2 weeks. Do you think, by the way, and I want to hear from you guys too. So right now, I think the Cubs are the favorites in the division.
Yeah.
With the moves that they've made, adding Bregman, adding Cabrera. Justin Steele said he'll be back sooner rather than later. They've got 7 starters. They're pretty good. I think Milwaukee is the 2nd best team in the division. I think Cincinnati is clearly the 3rd best team in the division. And they have some really good starting pitching. They have a superstar. They've got some good elements. And then with Skeens and Jones and Bubba Chandler coming along, Pirates are going to have loaded pitching, right?
Yep.
There's a really good chance that the Cardinals could finish last in the division. And we shouldn't be surprised by that because this is a rebuild. But what about the optics of that? Would you've never experienced, right, being dead last?
Not as a Cardinals fan, no.
Not as a Cardinal. Well, yeah,
but I've always represented myself as a Rams fan. So yes, I do have plenty of experience.
I wonder how Cardinal Nation would react to the team finishing in last place.
Not great. And I don't care how many people say it here in our chat. We got a pretty smart chat, and they're looking forward. There is still, in my opinion, a majority of Cardinals fans who will be more pissed off about the win-loss record this year than they will about any of the context about players who improved or players who got their runway and succeeded. Like, there's still going to be a portion who cannot look past the win-loss record.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll always be the case in a lot of fan bases.
We St. Louis as a group finished in last place in 2023. So
yes, not
a new thing.
Not completely new thing, but yeah, I still think there's a chunk of fans, and I do think it's the majority, who are still not going to handle it well, no matter what the context is around what Nolan Gorman does, what Jordan Walker does, what any of these young players would do. J.J. Weatherholt, Quinn Matthews, Eshawn Henderson, any of these guys we see, Liam Doyle. I don't think they'll be able to look past how bad the team is when they win 78 games and how much that rankles them.
I think 78 would be a hell of an accomplishment.
Damn right it would be. FanDuel's got them 71.5. Or DraftKings had them 71.5.
I think that's probably more realistic.
You taking the over?
71.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're like a 74 win team.
I'd like that. That made me feel good about my 68.5 bet I have with somebody else.
74 to 76.
Yeah, but and again, I think there's people out there that if they see 76 and 86, it will not matter to them at first what Quinn Matthews did in 2026. Now, in 2027, when he's a really good pitcher and he's winning them 14 games, they're going to talk about how much they loved watching him pitch as a rookie in 2025. But in the moment, they're still going to be pretty angry about that, I think.
We also don't know.
Chat's here. Holy crap.
If good, let's talk. We asked you, and we want to hear from you. I just wonder if, and hey, we all know where they are right now, and really, there's no difference between finishing in last and fourth. You're going to be 25 games out. But just again, I use that word optics. I think that's something that we have to think about, and the Cardinals have to think about finishing in last place and becoming a franchise. Well, I think the Cardinals have gone the longest in the National League by many, many years without finishing with the worst record in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That like worst record in the league. Yeah, worst record in the league would be rough. I would also lose a lot of money.
But then let's see, 95. No, 90, right?
90, yes. I'm gonna go Palazzo.
90, 2000. So what is it? 90, 2000. Hell, I don't know. 36 years, 35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twice in the last 35 years, the Cardinals have finished in last place. That doesn't happen very often.
No, yeah. A lot of people here throwing out how 1990 was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was bad. And that team, as opposed to this one, 90 was rough. And you if you're talking about it,
was the roster old?
Well, they were all disgruntled because Gussie had died in 89 and August Busch III had no interest. So McGee was going to be a free agent. Coleman was going to be a free agent. Pendleton was going to be a free agent. Daly was going to be a free agent. They wind up trading Willie for Felix Jose. Vince does leave as a free agent. Daly leaves as a free agent. Pendleton leaves as a free agent and becomes the MVP the next season.
That's bad.
They also got rid of Tony Pena.
Not great
at that point. So that was an ownership that had no interest in winning, and they just kind of put together a blah group. And Joe Torre did an amazing job with that group. But 1990 was rough because we were coming off of a decade where we'd seen the Cardinals go to three World Series, 82, 85, 87, and in the hunt for most of those years. I mean, 83, you go into the last month of the season with a chance to win. 84, 84 wasn't great. 86 was blah. But then even 88 and 89, they had an opportunity, but injuries and ineffectiveness cost them. we've never had a team that was going to be bad that you thought was going to get better. And that's what I think about this team. I do think that, well, if it doesn't get better, you got real problems. But I think as a group, as a whole, as a sum of their parts, I think this team will get better.
Randy, next segment, we're going to be doing a little bit of a kind of a mock bet on some St. Louis things. But if you wanted to put down a real wager, how would they do that?
Well, the play is to go to visit our friends at DraftKings. And I'll tell you what, when you talk about Super Bowl 60, there's one place to get that bet down. And Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. And that's DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60. And it puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And when anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit. And that protection is really pretty amazing when you think about the fact that if you lose a player in the first half, you're still going to be fine. Because if a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. And as you look at the Super Bowl, there's so many cool things to bet on. The props are amazing for the Super Bowl. And I really do think that as I look at it, did you find something that you like?
The passing yards for Darnold in May are fascinating to me. I haven't seen an over under. I'm just looking at the alternate prop right now. I think, this is a tricky one. These defenses are just both so damn good, but the quarterbacks are also so talented. Mm-hmm. I think I might, what I'm going to do, Rand, I'm going to put it somewhere in here. We're going to go 200 for Sam Darnold.
Uh-huh.
We're going to go 220 for Drake May. We're going to put those together, and I'm going to get plus 138 out of those.
All right.
Because 200 passing yards for Darnold, minus 237, minus 121 for the 220 from Drake May. Put them together, I get a plus 138. I like that for my just a little bit over 200 for each of the quarterbacks.
And you know what's cool is that DraftKings puts together some different bets for you. For example, they've got the power pairs, TDs for the game. Jackson Smith and Jigba to score a touchdown, Ramondre Stevenson to score one, Kenneth Walker the third to score a touchdown, and or Stephon Diggs to score a touchdown. And if you take that one with JSN, Stevenson, Walker the third, and Diggs to all score at plus 2,500, the $10 bet pays $260. So just download DraftKings and check it out. If you're rooting for Seattle, like I am, they've got a bet called 12's Time, where you can have the Seahawks to win, Sam Darnold 240 plus passing yards, Kenneth Walker the third to rush for 110 rushing and receiving yards, and JSN to score a touchdown. That one's at plus 800. Ooh. If you'd like to do 12's Time. There's a lot of really cool bets that they have put together for you. It's very easy and very fun at DraftKings.
You know what? After watching how they schemed that JSN touchdown in the NFC Championship game, doing that running back scissors play with him out of the backfield, JSN anytime touchdown score might be a really sharp play for the Super Bowl.
Pretty good. If you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
All right, I wanted to get to some of the chats here because we asked for them. Samuel Howe, Nolan Gorman could hit 35 home runs a year. He could. He needs to hit 35 a year for 1 year first, but he has hit 27 in a season before, and clearly the Cardinals haven't given up on him. He wasn't on the trade market this year by the Cardinals. You look at a guy like Enrico Palazzo saying, Raniel Rodriguez and Liam Doyle, both not here as non-roster free agents. Rodriguez is only 19 years old. He's got a few years to go.
Yeah, let's pump the brakes. Like again, we talked about this already. You got to work your way through. You got to find out what Crooks is. You got to find out what Bernal is. I mean, we're not even talking about Bernal getting at bats this year. You got to figure out Bernal first as well.
Yep. And
first base
for Bernal,
for any of the catchers.
Yeah.
Just figure
Bernal
it out.
is a Gold Glove minor league.
Yes. Just play one of them at first base so that if Bernal is legit, he can play somewhere else and you can bring up Rodriguez. Same thing. It's what the Orioles are doing. They got a lot of good catchers, and they said, okay, you're both going to play first base.
Yeah. Samuel Howe. I hate losing to the Pirates. So do I. Perception-wise, I totally get that. I understand why you hate losing to the Pirates, because they've been bad for so long. And generally, the Cardinals have been good for so long. And the Pirates have admitted for a long time that they're chasing the Cardinals and trying to be what the Cardinals have been essentially between 1996 and 2021.
Yeah.
The two markets are almost identical economically. Obviously, they have a football team. We have we don't have a football team, but we have a soccer team. Pittsburgh, they don't have a MLS, do they? In
No.
Pittsburgh? So that's
what's really similar that you're saying that now?
What?
And mainly because they're also having trouble right now. One of the teams that doesn't know how much they can spend this year right now is the Cincinnati Reds. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Cardinals ownership is from there, I think, is also material. They have an MLS team. They have an NFL team. They don't have a hockey team, though.
Right.
And so it kind of jumps out to me. I think Cincinnati's also another metro area that you can make some comparisons.
Midwest river towns, absolutely.
Except they actually get to use their river. I'm kind of jealous of them.
We
for
don't
that.
use ours.
Well, the Ohio and the Mississippi flood differently.
Yeah. Samuel Howe. Quinn Matthews is turning 26 in October, Randy. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why we want to see him when he's still 25.
Yep. No doubt about it. Can we get a Will Clark, Craig Lewis asks. I don't think there's a Will Clark. I think the Will Clarks of the world have been eliminated from Major League Baseball. The guy who says, "Hey, rookie, get me a beer." I don't think that those guys,
it doesn't exist as much.
Exist.
Oh, okay.
No. Remember when Bud Norris tried to be that guy?
Didn't go great.
Yeah, did not go great.
If you do want to check out STL Sports Central, guys, under the video tab, there are 2 videos from Thursday night's show over on KLIS. It was a live show down at the Key STL, and Cam Jansen, Jimmy the Cat Hayes, and Matt Adams. And Matt Adams had the 2 videos really center around him reacting to the Brewers, a potential playoff team trading a $8 million all-star pitcher. And then there was another video of him kind of telling some of his favorite stories from his time as a player, kind of how intimidating Yachty was, why John Lackey had him white-knuckling the ball at first base. Some great stories about some of those veteran presences the Cardinals used to have, and really how they did force young players to look at things a little bit differently.
Matt is great. So, yeah, check that out here at STL Sports Central and the Lou Information Station.
There it is.
All right. A couple of other things that we want to touch on. By the way, somebody wanted us to talk about SLU and Dayton on Friday. Shouldn't we be talking about SLU tonight?
Yes, we got to talk about the Revs first, the Revs now. They used to be the Colonials. They're the Revs now. The Billikens, they're a big team, this GW team. They got Castro's 6'10", Johnson's 6'8", 215, both those guys. And they got 2 6'7" guys coming off the bench and another 6'10" guy coming off the bench. So the big thing with the Billikens is that if you have size, they can outrun you and shoot over the top of you. If you have athleticism, you can maybe run with them, but they also have uber athletes. So can you run with them purely? But if you have size and athleticism, that's the one equation that might be able to actually take down the Billikens, because you have to be able to switch multiple positions. If you can switch 1 through 5, that's always great, but you have to at least be able to switch 1 through 4 against the Billikens. GW has, again, an athletic 6'10" player and an athletic 6'8" player. That means they can switch, for the most part, 1 through 5. Their guards are a little bit smaller, but still not very small, 6'2", 6'4", 6'4", a little bit long, so they can switch across all the positions. They can put a smaller athletic player like Johnson, who's 6'8", 210. They can put him on Robbie, and Robbie Avila has been able to beat a lot of teams this year, because when they put a big on him, he torches the guy. He toys with him on the perimeter, and he beats him down low with skill. Well, if the guy's 6'8" and can run with Robbie on the perimeter, well, now Robbie can't run past him, and he's 6'8", which means that Robbie can't beat him up either. So, and Castro, who's 6'10", you can hide Castro at times on one of the SLU non-shooters. Usually there's only one of them at a time. Usually it's Kellen Thames or Amari McCautry. You can hide Castro on the non-shooter while Johnson's playing Avila, and that allows you to do what almost no teams have been able to successfully do against the Billikens. So that's why GW's size and athleticism could be a factor in tonight's game. Billikens, of course, going for history. Talked about this on yesterday's show. This would be the first time in Billikens program history that they ever won 20 of their first 21 games. So a shot at history tonight, and they're going up against a potential buzzsaw of a lineup for the Revolutionaries.
Billikens are 9.5-point favorites. By the way, that game on ESPN Plus. We should note, by the way, I heard this yesterday. I think I heard it on Michelle Smallman's show. Nebraska undefeated for the first time after 20 games ever.
Insane.
Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game.
Nope. Yeah, big. Is it them in one other big time division?
Have they won
division? I think there's one other.
They won one.
I think there's one other. It might not be Power 5, but I think there might be one other Power 5 or mid-major team that has never won an NCAA tournament game. It was wild, and Fred Hoiler's their coach too. Obviously, things didn't go great for him in the NBA, but yeah, they shocked people. People kind of started believing around 12-0, but now a legitimate 20-0, and some big games coming up for Nebraska. Obviously, I know that the Illini also have a big game coming up on their schedule.
And the 23rd ranked Alabama will host Mizzou tonight. That one is on SEC Network at 7 o'clock. Mizzou trying to come away with another victory in the SEC. They're 14-6 right now. They're tied for third in the SEC. Of course, last year Mizzou beat Alabama down the stretch, and they'll have their hands full. The Crimson Tide are really good, 13-6, 3-3 in the conference. Mizzou is 4-3 in the SEC.
Yes, and the latest bracketology has Mizzou as the 5th team out of the tournament. So the Oklahoma game kept them in the conversation. Losing to Alabama would not knock them back out, obviously, because they're not favored in this game. But keeping this one close, making it look good, this is one of those games where that kind of matters. Like if they lose by 13 to Bama, it might kind of be curtains on an NCAA tournament berth.
And I wonder what sort of representation the SEC will have this year after they had 13 in the tournament last year. Right now, when you look at the conference records, there's a lot of mediocrity.
I think the same bracketology that had Mizzou 5th team out. I think they would have been the 9th or 10th SEC team.
So there you go. Yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense.
It was either the 9th or the 10th SEC team in the bracketology. Mizzou was the 5th, was the 9th or 10th team, and they were out. So 8 or 9 teams in.
A&M leading the way. They're 6-1 in the conference. Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, all 5-2 in the conference. And Mizzou has already beaten Florida. They lost at Kentucky, right? That was it. Yeah. And then Georgia, Mizzou, Vandy, Auburn are all 4-3 in the conference. So Mizzou still has a chance, but they got to just put down their head. And it's hard to win at Alabama. They will have their hands full there. And then, as you mentioned,
sorry, did you say Mizzou at Kentucky? My apologies.
Yeah,
Mizzou won that one.
They won that one.
Sorry.
Okay, so they've got the edge if they catch up with those two teams in the SEC standings. They've got the head-to-head edge.
The number 20 Nebraska faces off against number 3 Michigan. Michigan 18-1, 8-1 in Big Ten play. Obviously, just a massive game between two top 5 teams. That one is a tip-off for 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., which gives you enough time to watch the first half before the Billikens tip-off at 7. And you should be at Chaffetz because I believe right now there's still a $5 ticket deal.
Oh, very nice.
And there's 15 seats left open right now for the Dayton game on Friday.
How many?
15.
That's it?
That's what Stu Durando tweeted out today on Ticket Stub or whichever site they use for their tickets. Yeah, there were 15 open tickets left for the Dayton game.
All right. And number 9 Illinois will host Washington on Friday or Thursday night. And the UW 11-9 overall. The 9th ranked Illini are 17-3. Okay, let's get to the Rams because they had a player that they drafted a few years ago when they first got to LA, Cooper Kupp, who won a receiving Triple Crown for them. He won a Super Bowl MVP for them. And then became a disposable part. And Michael Silver, and I read the headline. I didn't really go in depth into the story, but I read the story. Michael Silver wrote about how when the Rams decided they didn't want Cooper Kupp anymore, they first of all tried to convince him to retire. He said, no, I want to keep playing. So they told teams around the league, hey, he's hurt all the time. You shouldn't give him anything more than the league minimum on a 1-year deal. Well, the Seahawks did not agree with that. They gave him a 3-year deal for $45 million. But the kicker here is that when the Rams cut him, not only did they badmouth him around the NFL, at least in his mind, that happened to Kupp, but they also never called him. They never thanked him. They never did anything to show any appreciation for what he had done for the franchise.
And honestly, it shouldn't shock us. We know the people who are running this organization.
Mm-hmm.
We know, going back to their very first moves, obviously what they did, but their very first moves when they got to LA was kind of screwing over James Laurinaitis and Chris Long.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the very first things they ever did when they got to LA.
Chris told him he would never play in LA.
Fair enough. James Laurinaitis then got kind of screwed over by the Rams as soon as they got to LA. There's been other players over the last 5 or 6 years that felt like they were unceremoniously booted from the team and without any thank you for their efforts. It's completely ridiculous considering what Cooper Kupp did the season he had. Mm-hmm. The fact that he almost put himself in the record book in a lot of ways, almost put himself in the record book of, for the greatest record over Calvin Johnson, and he did it in a Rams uniform. And you don't even thank him, and you potentially even badmouth him kind of on the way out and say he's falling apart. You guys don't want to pay him any money. What is the purpose of doing that other than you're just an evil person deep down inside?
Kevin Demoff, yeah, right.
Like there's just other than being just the ultimate Smithers character. Like what other is there to badmouth Cooper Kupp? Like doesn't him signing a bigger deal get them a better compensatory pick?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want him to sign a big deal?
Well, and I think you also need to keep in mind that among your players, he's a beloved figure.
That too. Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua love him.
Stafford the other night on the field looking for him to give him a hug.
I mean, just full-on brother love fests between him, Stafford, and Nacua.
Yeah, I will never understand the way that organization operates, but I'm glad they lost.
But clearly, Randy, there's something going on in NFL ownership right now, because on the other side of the country, a 60-year tradition that seemed pretty flawless based on the way it's worked 3-0, for some reason the Steelers just completely kick their entire modus operandi to the curb and roll out with Mike McCarthy after 3 straight signings, mid-30s, defensive mindset. They go with a 62-year-old offensive coordinator.
Yep, but look at what the league was in 1969. Look at what the league was in 1992. Look at what the league was in 2007. It really is a different league now, and they need a guy that can develop a quarterback. And here's a guy in Mike McCarthy who took Aaron Brooks to the playoffs, had a New Orleans team that scored 49 touchdowns with Aaron Brooks at quarterback, developed Aaron Rodgers, finished off and polished up Dak Prescott. And so that's what they need now at the age of 62. And he's probably not going to be around for 17 or 18 or 19 years like those other coaches were. I think the Steelers recognize that this is a different league now. And to enhance their chances of having a good quarterback, rather than hiring that defensive coordinator or defensive mind, you want to go out and get a guy that can develop a quarterback. And they know that Mike McCarthy can hire a good staff. They know that Mike McCarthy can turn things around in a hurry. And as Art Rooney III said, why would I want to waste a year of my life not trying to win? Well, with Mike McCarthy, he's in that boat. He's the best coach in that division right now. And if they win 12 games next year and go to the playoffs, it won't surprise me at all. And then you get a young quarterback. And by the way, he said today that he'd like to have Aaron Rodgers back. But you could also develop a young quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers.
If McCarthy would struggle, and this would only be like, let's say, a 2-year thing.
Yeah, and he's never struggled in the NFL.
That's true. But if he would, and this is only like a 2-year thing, does that change the perception of the Steelers because they have to make a change so quickly after the three of the longest tenured, back-to-back coaching runs we've ever seen?
Yep, the Cardinals went from Whitey Herzog from 80 to 90, Torrey from 90 to 95, Tony from 96 to 11, and then Matheny from 11 to 17. Hasn't the perception of the Cardinals changed now that they've gone from Matheny in 17 to Schilt to Ollie?
Yeah.
And over the course of 6-7 years, they've had, and really, if you go to 22, it was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3 managers in 6 years.
Yeah.
Hadn't the perception of the Cardinals changed?
Absolutely.
So I think it would.
Yeah.
I think it would for this team.
I think you're 100% right. That's why it feels different. I understand the perception from Art. He feels like he's got a roster that can win,
and he's old,
and so he wants to bite off every piece he can, and that's we've heard this, we've seen this story in empires all the time. You run the business one way for 60 years, and in those last few years things change because you want one last grasp at the pie.
And they might feel in Pittsburgh, and I don't know about this. I wish I could have taken in the press conference today. but they might feel like they missed out on the hometown guy.
I'll say this.
That's his dream job.
He killed it. He absolutely killed it, Randy. There's a 2-minute clip that one of the reporters put out, and McCarthy gets emotional. And honestly, like, there was a part of me that it's like, if I lived in Pittsburgh, I'd throw on a helmet and go run through a steel wall somewhere. It did feel very like he understands the people. He's got that Pittsburgh dad thing.
He says yins.
He said yins. I also like it too because like the Pittsburgh dad thing is kind of a big thing right now because everyone's talking about Kurt Signetti, and apparently there's that Pittsburgh dadism is a very specific style of person, and I think that's fascinating.
And by the way, today the Bills hired Joe Brady, gave him a 5-year contract.
That's surprising.
So we don't like our coaching staff. So we're going to fire the head coach, but then we're going to give the offensive coordinator
also again
5 years to bring the same staff back.
And again, the Keon Coleman wasn't our GM's pick, but it also, as we clarified, was not the pick of our former head coach. So if the GM didn't pick the wide receiver and the head coach didn't pick the wide receiver, are you saying someone other than the offensive coordinator picked the wide receiver?
Receivers coach?
So you're telling me you let a position coach influence your first round draft pick over the GM, the offensive coordinator, and the head coach? Because if we knock out the GM, we knock out the head coach. It seems like they just hired the guy who drafted the bust they're bitching about.
Well, and I can guarantee you this. It wasn't Joe Brady. It wasn't Sean McDermott. It wasn't anybody else that traded down from 32 Xavier Worthy to 33 so that they could take Coleman.
You're saying the GM did that?
The GM had to make the trade, right?
Oh, wow.
Or the owner?
I mean,
the head coach did not.
Now you're telling me someone didn't tell the truth at a presser.
Oh, shocking. And then other news today, Brian Daboll, former Giants head coach, if he doesn't get the Raiders head coaching job, I don't know why he would have won it, but Daboll named the future offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans under Robert Saleh.
Is this a new thing that's happening?
Yes.
Because they did it there was like a 12-hour period where
Mike
McDaniel was still in limbo, where he was like, I am the Chargers offensive coordinator unless the Raiders offer me the head coach spot. Like, I don't remember this ever being reported about guys being in this limbo spot. Yeah. I've never, like, this is the first time I ever hear any other times.
Look at what it's happening with. It's happening with offensive coordinators.
Yeah, okay.
And the reason is because bright offensive minds are so hard to come by. That's why people are hiring offensive minds as their head coaches, and you don't see as many defensive coaches getting head coaching jobs, despite the fact that in the Super Bowl, Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald are both defensive guys. But according to the people in the league, it's hard to find offensive minds. So that's why Jim Harbaugh in Los Angeles with the Chargers and Robert Saleh in Tennessee with the Titans are willing to give some guys latitude and pursue those jobs and not fill the jobs immediately. Although I have to believe there are backups. And I think McDaniel now is official with the Chargers.
Yes, he had his press conference
But
today.
if Daboll winds up as the head coach of the Raiders, then I have to believe that Robert Saleh has a plan B just in case.
And I don't know, like we saw with the Falcons, Stefanski is giving play calling duties to Tommy Rees.
Yeah.
So just like I guess is the idea that you want both an offensive coordinator and you want to have the overarching mind be offensive because that's where things have got to focus. Like, is that why teams are so focused on it? Because like Dominic Fox was on with Kevin Clark on his show over on Omaha Productions, and he was talking about how he's like, I don't think you don't want your head coach calling plays.
Well, Andy Reid calls plays.
He does.
And he does pretty well.
That's true, he does.
It depends on how good your guy is. I mean, Mike Martz called plays, and you wouldn't have wanted anybody else calling plays for that franchise. I guarantee you that Joe Brady is going to call plays.
The Jay Cutler clip came up on my phone today when he was talking on PMT, and he talks about how the best way to describe it is that Mike Martz played Madden with real human beings.
He really did. Yeah, it was incredible.
And you tell Jay, just throw the ball there. The receiver's going to be there, and if he's not, that's not your fault. And Jay's like, no. If I throw a pick, though, it is going to be my fault.
Yep. But Sean Payton was just in the AFC Championship game calling plays. Sean McVay was just in the NFC Championship game calling plays offensively. You look around the league, Kyle Shanahan.
But he did
is the play
screw up.
caller.
He might have screwed up a third down or a field goal.
That was a head coaching move, though, not an offensive.
But that's what I'm saying. Is I think that might have been Foxworth. That was part of Foxworth's point. Is like, don't you want that guy focusing on the other minutia of being a head coach?
Ideally, you'd love to have that, but you know what? But
it's all about the game planning throughout the week. That's why you have two offensive minds is better than one because of the game planning throughout the week.
And you should have a game management coach up in the booth, right? Time management guy and a guy for those situations. Coach, okay, let's think about this. Okay, it's 4th and 1. We've got a really good defense. We go up by 10 here. It might change the game completely. And then if the head coach, if he doesn't at least have it in his mind and changes his mind, it's on him. But if it's all the head coach thinking, okay, I got to get up to 14 here, then if he's heard that, you put it on him, right? If he hears that from his game management coach. I think every head coach should have that voice in his ear to be a clock management / game management guy.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Let's hit one more.
Dan Campbell called plays.
Yep.
Ben Johnson calls plays.
Wow.
Matt LaFleur calls plays. I'm just looking. I believe Kevin O'Connell does. So there's a lot of guys around the league, offensive guys that are called. Brian Schottenheimer called plays for the Cowboys this year. So a lot of guys.
There it is. That was Dominique Foxworth, not me. Just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Last thing before we go, Randy, you brought it up earlier. Just kind of the big topic right now for St. Louis City SC. One of the original players, one of the first players that was ever signed in the history of the organization is gone. The city traded João Klauss to the LA Galaxy today for $2.3 million in straight cash. Homie. Somebody pointed out Transfer Market, which is a site that focuses on these things, lists him as his worth as being 3 million euros, which would be like $3.3 million. So, hey, did we just get screwed? And I apologize to the person I commented on Twitter. I did the conversion backwards in my head. My apologies there. I'm not great at turning euros into dollars in my head. My bad there. So my thing there is like when you see sites that are just like this guy's worth $3 million, like it's an estimation. It's all a player is worth how much people want to pay for him. I view the $2.3 million for João Klauss as a completely fair market value. I don't really care if Transfer Market is claiming that they lost $1 million on this one. I think this is straight market value. And when you get offered market value for a player who is in their final year of a contract and you don't apparently have plans to extend them, you trade them. That's what we've talked about with Brendan Donovan, but they just haven't got the fair market value they want yet. And that's why they haven't traded him. But City got the fair market value they needed to see for João Klauss, and therefore they shipped him off to LA Galaxy. They didn't want to give him the extension. He wanted the extension because he wanted more money.
Sure.
So who wouldn't? But they did not want to give him the extension. And something tells me that they weren't too happy that he made this symbol to the owner's box the last time he scored a goal for St. Louis City. Probably, I feel like just based on the optics, that probably wasn't the best move. And eventually a team came and said, hey, well, I'm sure City was fine with just having him play out his final year on his option this season. And let him go at the end of the year. So getting $2.3 million is big. City fans are reacting because of the history of this organization. They sold Nico Gioacchini, which, by the way, was also a very smart sell. He had 1 year that looked nothing like any other year he'd ever had in his career. He also hasn't been able to replicate the season he had with St. Louis City SC, which tells me smart.
Where did he go?
He was originally sold to Como. Over
that's right.
In Italy. He's batted around for a couple places over the last 2.5 years.
I liked him.
They sold Nico Gioacchini. They didn't acquire a striker and they sold him in the winter before 2024. They didn't acquire another striker until that summer. And by that time, the season looked like it might have been out of their reach. They had fired Bradley Carnell. They also last year sold Indiana Vasilev, who had been a big key to the team. They did not acquire a player to replace him until I guess you could argue one of the guys they made a move for in the summer was to replace him. The reason why this is different for me, and listen, I could be completely wrong. City could sit on this money until the summer window, and they would be very foolish to do so, in my opinion. It would be a gigantic mistake, and I want to say that out in front. But it looks like St. Louis City is not going to re-sign Henry Kessler, who was undeniably their best defender last year. And part of the reason is Kessler's hurt a lot. He had an option for a raise. They declined his option. It doesn't seem like they want to pay him what he wants, or they don't want to fit him into the roster under what he wants, which would be potentially a borderline DP contract. So it doesn't look like they're signing Henry Kessler. They have been in reports to be signing a guy named Mamadou Fall, who is a center back, for $2 million. So they lost Henry Kessler, their best defensive player. They didn't get anything for him in return, and they spent $2 million to replace him. They're losing their best goal scorer in João Klauss. They're getting $2.3 million in return. So by that logic, they should be willing to spend some money to replace him. And so despite the fact that previous iterations of this organization that were run by Lutz Pfannenstiel and led by Diego Gigliani, and now it is a team that is still run by Corey Ray, but overrun by Diego Gigliani. So how much does the Corey Ray factor change how they're going to do things? To me, just on the fall move of this winter, and again, it hasn't been finalized. It's one of the ones that's been reported. They're working through things. If they're willing to spend $2 million to replace a player they got nothing back from, I don't think it would be shocking. I don't think we should jump to the conclusion that they're not going to make a move to replace their best offensive player, who they got $2.3 million for. They have the fifth most amount of GAM, which is general allocation money, which is kind of how you buy players in the league. They have the fifth most amount of GAM in the league with $6 million. They just got $2.3 million in cash. If they do not use it to buy an offensive player before the end of this window, which is not the beginning of the season, there are two different things, it would be a huge mistake. But what we've seen from Ray tells me they will make the move.
Okay, good. Because that I was going to ask a question that might require a long answer, but obviously the Cardinals under the DeWitt ownership have been a great organization until the last 3 or 4 years. When you're going out and signing the desperation moves like Gray and bringing back a used up Lance Lynn, and when you're bringing in Kyle Gibson, when you're desperately signing people like Brett Cecil and Mike Leake, that is not a good organization. For the most part, the Cardinals have been a good organization. The Rams, aside from that 3-year slice of Dick Vermeil, they were a bad organization. You could tell once Vermeil got here, okay, we're organized, we got things figured out a little bit. The Blues have had their moments where they have been incredibly disorganized in the past, especially under the Shanahan ownership with Mike Keenum, where they made like 30 trades a year. So you can tell, if you're paying attention generally, what a good organization looks like and what a bad organization looks like. Is it unfair at this point for me to say that St. Louis City SC looks like a bad organization?
They look like an inexperienced organization, okay. or I dare say naive.
Okay,
inexperienced might be the best way to describe it, because they keep making little mistakes.
And it seems like they're self-inflicted.
And there's a report out there about something else that might have ticked Klauss off. I haven't been able to confirm it at all, so I'm not sure if that's a material thing at all. The extension to me seems to be enough proof, and also at the same time, he's 28, about to turn 29, and he just got moved from St. Louis.
Story if he was 28, about to turn 27.
You're right. And he just got moved from St. Louis to LA. I don't think he's actually crying. I don't think he's exactly crying into his cornflakes right now.
No.
But yes, City has made a lot of little mistakes, to the point they didn't replace Joe Keeney, they didn't replace Andy Vasilev.
Right.
They have to replace João Klauss, or else it will be a colossal mistake. But they've also made plenty of small mistakes all over the place. That's why they're on head coach number 5. I like to say head coach number 3 because I don't think we should count the interims, but that's just me. But at the same time, this is also a league that we see things like this, and not just this league. Like we just saw one of the teams. Why am I blanking on the name of the team, or which team did this? One of the teams lost arguably their best player because somebody in the front office did not fax a piece of paper the day it was supposed to be faxed. And I know there's the famous one with Von Miller in was it leaving Denver? When he left Denver, somebody didn't file for his option, I think it was. Apparently same thing happened. And I'm blanking on the exact player, my apologies. But it just happened this offseason. One of the best players in the MLS is moved teams because somebody didn't file something when they were supposed to. Like, little mistakes happen. At the same time, the idea of a team selling a player or transferring away one of their best players late in the preseason because they got an amount of money they couldn't say no to, and then not being able to replace him before the season starts, while that would look like an extremely bad organization thing to happen, in this sport, it's simply just another storyline that happens all the time. Like, there's been times when I mean, that's happening. Wilson can not along, like, that's happened. Tottenham, Chelsea have made moves where they've sold players at the end of transfer windows and didn't acquire somebody who could actually replace that production. And then their entire fan base rightfully does bitch and moan. But the point is that this isn't just some like garage band thing that only happens to small teams in leagues like the MLS. EPL teams make this decision all the time and say, oh, well, we have to make the move because this is the money we're getting. And so would it be a mistake? Yes. Would it be a mistake that is so unbelievably outside of the bounds of this sport that you need to grab pitchforks? Not really. It'd be a criticizable mistake, but it's one that we see a lot in the soccer world because of how the transfer windows work.
Hernan Lopez of San Jose, Cole Bass's left foot gives us. By the way, you mentioned Klauss not crying into his cornflakes. So during the pandemic, Smalls and I had never had Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh.
And so she brought in like 5 different, this is when no sports was going on because of the pandemic. And she brought in like 5 different kinds of cereal. Some of my faves, like Frosted Flakes, but Cinnamon Toast Crunch won for me, and that is now my favorite cereal.
Wow, good for you. That's fun.
Does anybody like?
Never been a big. I don't like cinnamon.
Okay, what about are you a cornflakes guy?
Never liked cornflakes.
What about Rice Krispies? Frosted Flakes.
I love Frosted Flakes.
Okay.
Also,
Frosted
they're
Lucky Charms,
really underrated for me is Honey Nut Cheerios and Frosted Cheerios.
Oh, I don't think I've had Frosted Cheerios.
Frosted Cheerios are like Frosted Flakes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but Honey Nut Cheerios hit. I'm a huge. I don't even need the brand name. Schnucks sells these big bags of off-brand cereal. And there's one, and I don't know what the name. A Colossal Berry Crunch, which is Captain Crunch with Cocoa Puffs. Okay. But it's Colossal Berry Crunch, and I will buy that just to eat handfuls dry.
Okay, good.
It's so good. I don't drink a lot of milk anymore.
So for cereal, all I have right now is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But if I didn't have only Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I like Life cereal. Hey, Mikey, he likes it. I like Life cereal, and I like Rice Chex. I like Rice Chex a lot. So Craig Lewis says, I'm a huge grape nuts with honey, not sugar. Good call there. I like that. Now Cole Bass's left foot says Orlando City and the player was Junior Urso. Does that sound
no? It's happened. I guess multiple times. It happened this. I guess it's happened multiple times in the MLS. That's not the. It's happened before, but those are not the big name players that have happened for this offseason. No, okay. I'm blanking.
Enrico Palazzo used to eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch when I was a kid. There you go. See, good stuff. I'm just I'm not a connoisseur, but I do like my cereal. And by the way,
I dare say you are a connoisseur.
Well, now that I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I have milk with it too. I don't eat cereal as a snack. Also, Crispix is great. Craig Lewis. Cole Bass's left foot. Thank you for saying Randy is right. Appreciate it.
This is going to really bother me that I can't think of this.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
There's some MLS guy who's
will lead tomorrow's show with the breaking news that
God
Matthew has figured it out.
But yeah, they need to tighten. They need to tighten things up.
Can I say one more thing? I guess I can because it is the Randy Karraker show after all. Are you ever shocked? Do you get notifications for sports news on your phone? I know Wilson.
Yes.
Are you ever amazed that Fox Sports has the audacity, like 2 minutes after Adam Schefter will tweet something or
no, it doesn't surprise me.
Then Fox Sports will like this morning when Joe Brady was it was Schefter saying Buffalo Bills working towards hiring Joe Brady as their next head coach, and then 2 minutes later you get something from Fox Sports, a notification that says Bills to hire Joe Brady as their next head coach, and you know where it's coming from. It's just our business is crazy.
It's not great.
So pretty funny. And by the way, The Athletic does great. Oh, let's see. Okay, here's a text from Adam Schefter. Ooh, this is a big one too. Okay, the Bulletin, apparently official. Bill Belichick, the 8-time Super Bowl winning head coach, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, per Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta Jr. Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Spygate will get you. Spygate will get you.
Every time it'll get you. Every time.
There you go. So now you know via podcast.
There you go.
Great job, sir, as always.
Yes, you as well.
Thank you. Go Billikens, go Blues tonight. Wilson doing a great job of getting us on the air. We'll have plenty to talk about tomorrow with those Bills and Blues games, and I'm sure there will be more baseball talk. And we'll, as our great friend DeMarco Farr used to say, we'll pour some syrup on the grave of Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame possibilities.
There you go. And of course, tonight with Billikens and the Tigers in action, we will have post games right here on STL Sports Central because both games are happening at the same time. Here's how the schedule is most likely going to work out. The Missouri Tigers post game, assuming they don't go to overtime or something like that, will happen first, and then we'll follow with the SLU post game. The main reason there is that on the SLU post game, I will be joined by either Earl Austin or Bob Ramsey. So they got to do their whole post game thing, and then they join us for our post game thing. So we'll go after the Mizzou one, assuming one of those games doesn't last way too long. So 2 post games coming up back to back tonight here on STL Sports Central. Look for the first one to start around, let's call it 9:15, and that means we're going to have another 45 to 50 minutes of straight basketball talk across those 2 games right here on STL Sports Central. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know whenever we go live tonight for those post games after the Tigers and the Billikens.
Your opportunity to react to everything going on in the world of St. Louis sports. Hey, we appreciate you joining us here on the Randy Karraker Show. We will see you tomorrow right around 3. We are presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours, and we'll see you tomorrow.